Siem Reap has long been renowned as the cultural heart of Cambodia, where ancient Angkor temples have stood tall for centuries, attracting millions of visitors seeking peace and timeless beauty. However, behind the serene exterior and the slow-paced rhythm of this tourist city, a different underground world is silently operating, infiltrating quiet residential areas and transforming high-walled villas into digital prime factories. The most recent incident, which occurred in early December 2025 when Cambodian authorities raided a rented villa and arrested 19 foreigners, has once again sounded the alarm regarding the shifting and unpredictably mutating nature of online fraud in this Southeast Asian nation. According to the Khmer Times, the raid took place against a backdrop of the Cambodian government facing immense pressure from the international community and its own citizens to take stronger action against high-tech crime. According to information from authorities, on December 1, 2025, under the direction of the Siem Reap Provincial Administrative Unity Command and with procedural coordination from the Provincial Court Prosecutor's Office, a mixed police force surrounded and inspected a villa located in Sala Kamroek village, Sala Kamroek commune, Siem Reap city. This is a residential area that is typically quite bustling and a popular choice for foreign residents, yet that very hustle and bustle can sometimes provide the perfect cover for illicit activities. The results of the raid exposed a newly established criminal cell that, while fresh, was highly organized. 19 suspects were arrested at the scene. And notably, the demographic profile of this group reflects a new trend in personnel within scam networks in Cambodia. Instead of the nationalities often seen in previous reports, such as Chinese or Vietnamese, this group consisted of 16 Bangladeshi and 3 Nepalese citizens. At the scene, the picture of a small-scale but well-equipped high-tech fraud center emerged clearly before the investigators' eyes. Authorities confiscated a total of 8 computers, including 7 desktops and 1 laptop, along with 35 mobile phones of various types. These devices were not merely personal items, but the primary labor tools of the suspects, used to connect with thousands of potential victims around the world. Through rapid interrogation and preliminary data checks on the devices, police determined that this group was operating a stock investment scam model. This is not a new tactic, yet it remains highly effective for criminals by exploiting victims' greed and lack of financial literacy. Significantly, this group had only set foot in Siem Reap and rented the villa for about 2 weeks. This brief time frame demonstrates the mobility and rapid capability of cybercrime groups to establish headquarters. They do not require elaborate factories. They need only a private space, high-speed internet connections, and basic electronic devices to begin operating their illegal money-making machine. The discovery and dismantling of this cell in Sala Kamroek is not just a solitary victory for the Siem Reap police, but a crucial piece of the puzzle in the broader landscape of the fight against online fraud in the region. To understand the significance of this arrest, one must look broadly at the operational mechanisms of these scam centers. The stock investment call tactic used by this group of 19 is often staged with extreme sophistication. They create fake trading platforms with professional interfaces indistinguishable from reputable international exchanges. Then, through social media and messaging applications, the perpetrators approach victims, posing as financial experts or successful individuals wishing to share wealth creation opportunities. With the 35 confiscated mobile phones, one can imagine that each suspect had to manage multiple virtual accounts simultaneously, constantly messaging and calling to groom prey. They typically start by allowing victims to win small amounts to build absolute trust before inciting them to deposit huge sums, after which they crash the platform or block contact to appropriate the funds. The appearance of Bangladeshi and Nepalese suspects in Siem Reap also marks a shift in the territory and personnel of these criminal organizations. Previously, when mentioning scam compounds, one would immediately think of Sihanoukville, the coastal city in the south, with its skyscrapers and casinos springing up like mushrooms. However, in the face of rigorous crackdowns by the central government in Sihanoukville and Phnom Penh recently, criminal gangs are tending to drift to other, quieter localities to hide. Siem Reap, with its large volume of tourists and developed accommodation infrastructure, inadvertently became an ideal destination for this displacement. Isolated villas in communes like Sala Kamroek offer absolute privacy, helping them avoid the scrutiny of neighbors and local police for a certain period. Furthermore, the use of personnel from South Asian countries like Bangladesh or Nepal suggests these networks are expanding their global recruitment webs. It is possible this group was selected for their English proficiency to serve international markets, extending beyond the Southeast Asian or Chinese scope. Another aspect requiring careful analysis is the fragile boundary between criminal and victim in cases of this nature. Although initial information from the press and police refers to these 19 individuals as suspects, the complex reality of human trafficking in Cambodia forces us to question their circumstances. Are they willing conspirators participating in the scam ring to share the profits? Or are they victims of high-salary, light work traps, lured to Cambodia, having their passports confiscated and forced to commit fraud under the supervision and threat of faceless kingpins? In the Siem Reap case, police stated they are continuing to investigate to identify and apprehend the true mastermind behind the operation, implicitly acknowledging that the 19 arrested individuals might be low-level links, the direct operators, rather than the leaders. If they are victims of trafficking, the story turns toward a tragic direction regarding human rights and forced labor, issues that the United Nations and human rights organizations have repeatedly warned about. The impact of this incident on Siem Reap specifically and Cambodia in general is significant. For Siem Reap, which's economy relies heavily on tourism, the image of a safe, friendly heritage city is a priceless asset. News regarding the arrest of foreign criminals and scam cells residing right in the heart of the city could cause certain concerns for tourists and genuine investors. However, from a positive perspective, the decisive and timely action of the Siem Reap provincial authorities in dismantling this group after only 2 weeks of operation is a welcoming signal. It sends a strong message that Siem Reap is not a fertile ground for high-tech crime, and that local authorities are monitoring the territory very closely. The temporary closure of the violation site and the transfer of suspects to specialized investigative agencies for processing in accordance with legal procedures demonstrates the strictness and professionalism of the judicial process. The case of these 19 foreigners also reflects the joint efforts of the Cambodian government in the National Digital Environment Cleanup Campaign. Throughout 2024 and 2025, under the direction of the Ministry of Interior and the General Commissariat of National Police, a series of raids have been conducted, ranging from massive complexes at the border to small, isolated villas in urban areas. The Cambodian government understands that to maintain sustainable development and regain international trust, they must excise the malignant tumor named online fraud. These campaigns do not stop at arrests, but also include the deportation of thousands of illegal foreign residents and enhanced intelligence cooperation with neighboring countries. The coordination between Siem Reap police and specialized units in this case is evidence that the net of security is tightening. There is no longer a situation of orders from above ignored below or cover-ups at the local level, as rumored in the past. Instead, there is synchronized engagement. Delving into the technical details of the case, the seizure of 8 computers and 35 phones for 19 people indicates a relatively high device-per-person model. This characterizes the farming accounts model, where each employee must nurture multiple digital personas simultaneously. The sophistication of the criminals lies in the fact that they do not need bulky on-site server systems. All data and scam platforms may reside in the cloud, controlled remotely by ringleaders who could be sitting in a third country. Therefore, arresting the people and seizing terminal devices is only the first step. The greater challenge for Cambodian police is to extract data from these devices to trace money flows, identify victims' identities, and most importantly, find the leaders of the ring. The fight against cybercrime therefore takes place not only with guns and handcuffs, but is also a fierce battle of wits on the digital front, requiring law enforcement to possess high-tech capabilities. Looking toward the future, the incident in Siem Reap is a reminder that this war will be long and complex. As large centers are taken down, criminals will splinter into small groups like this one of 19 people, burrowing into residential areas, renting short-term housing, and constantly moving to avoid detection. This guerrilla tactic makes reconnaissance and residence management much more difficult. It requires vigilance not only from the police, but also from the community. Landlords and neighbors need to be conscious of reporting unusual signs, such as houses with curtains always drawn, sudden spikes in electricity consumption, or the appearance of groups of foreigners who rarely interact with the outside world. Public participation will be the eyes and ears helping authorities detect criminal elements early. In conclusion, the arrest of 19 foreigners in Siem Reap is not merely a security news bulletin. It is a vivid cross-section reflecting the reality of the fight against transnational crime in the digital age. It shows the shift in the operational territory of criminals to new lands, the diversification of nationalities among participants, and the determination of the Cambodian authorities to root out this problem. Although the scale of this group is not the largest compared to previous cases involving hundreds of people, its nature and timing carry significant meaning. It confirms that there are no forbidden zones or safe havens for fraud criminals in Cambodia, even in a peaceful tourist city like Siem Reap. For the 19 individuals currently in custody, their future will be determined by the courts. But for those intending to turn Cambodia into a scam den, this is the clearest deterrent message. The net of justice may be wide, but it is hard to slip through, and the law will soon knock on the door of every high-walled villa. This war may be long, but victories like the one in Sala Kamroek are contributing step by step to restoring the integrity of the investment and tourism environment of the land of pagodas and towers. Thank you for watching this story. If you found it meaningful, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video. And now it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for staying with Societal Stories.